This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, a win for the protester. A student gets her wish in the fight over university campus trees. It's been a long wait, but a new multi-million-dollar facility finally opens at Dunedin's Botanic Gardens. And the ORC reacts to public criticism. We have details of more changes on the way for our bus service. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Callum Proctor. This just in, 8 appeals have been lodged against the City Council's proposed local alcohol policy. They'll be considered by the National Alcohol Regulatory and Licensing Authority. Appellants include the police, hospitality associations, supermarkets and liquor retailers. It'll be months before the appeals are likely to be considered, and in the meantime, existing rules remain in place. A university student's passionate plea is seeing the institution backtrack on its plan to remove 50 trees from campus. The students' public outcry sparked wider opposition to the mass tree removal, and she's pleased with the outcome.
It's not quite David and Goliath, but University of Otago student Carol Toroa-McCready is celebrating her small win against the institution, after her pleas to stop the felling of dozens of campus trees gained traction.
When I heard that 50 trees were going to be chopped down, that's when all this sort of thing kicked into action, because I felt that the argument that the trees were old and they needed to come down, or that they didn't fit the new look, just rankled with me.
She says she's had a number of students and members of the public respond to her plea, and while she's yet to speak with university staff directly about her concern, others have, prompting property services to change the original landscaping plan in order to save and relocate some of the trees earmarked for the scrap heap. A move welcomed by Toroa-McCready.
It's made me feel more positive now, because I felt very unhappy with the university and what was happening, and I don't like being unhappy with the university because it's given me a new life, a new opportunity, and so yes, I was hoping for a good outcome to this.
And while she says it doesn't change what's already been done, she's thankful the institution is listening to students about the matter, restoring some of her faith in those who run the place she holds so dear.
I just wanted to thank the university authorities for taking my concerns on board, and I do appreciate it. But the next time you decide to do anything, please consult the students, because we form a big part of this community.
Work is continuing on the $7.8 million landscaping project, and with students' concerns allayed for now, completion is on schedule for the middle of next year. Ruby McAndrew, 39 Dunedin News.
The Board of Trustees at King's High School is pursuing legal action against the government in respect of an enrolment scheme. The school's been instructed by the Ministry of Education to implement an enrolment scheme by tomorrow. Otherwise, a limited statutory manager will be appointed to do so. But the board's challenging the ministry, saying there's no need for an enrolment scheme at the school. King's is the largest school in the city with about 1,040 pupils. That's 100 more than the school's permanent teaching space allows. But staff say classes aren't overcrowded and they don't want to limit enrolments through zoning. A multi-million-dollar propagation facility, almost 20 years in the making, is finally open at the Dunedin Botanic Garden. It's the product of the City Council's single largest investment in the garden, and it allows the expansion of almost everything the country's oldest garden offers.
With the pulling of a ribbon, the culmination of years of work officially opens. The Dunedin Botanic Garden now hosts New Zealand's newest propagation facility, allowing staff to grow hundreds of different plants in a state-of-the-art environment.
I think there's a sign of euphoria amongst the staff and the team who have been involved in this project. It's finished. We've reached the the crossroads really, moving from the old facility, and now we've got something brand new, something very, very special.
The new site means a wider variety of plants can be grown at the garden, and Matchett says staff will take advantage of that. Each glasshouse has a carefully controlled climate, with even sub-Antarctic plants able to be grown locally. It's a big step up from the previous propagation house, which was simply no longer up to standard.
96 was really the crux point of where we were going to go with the propagation facilities. The old complex has basically reached the end of its economic life. The environmental systems there were hardly keeping up with what was required, and we really just had to move on, but it was some time before the next step was taken.
Matchett says it was touch and go whether the project would go ahead, due to many ongoing issues the City Council has battled in the last few years. But the $6 million upgrade's complete after almost 2 years of construction. And in coming months, it'll be opened up to train locals and teach school children about horticulture.
Previously we were restricted by the small space we had and the conditions around health and safety. We just weren't confident in being able to manage that properly, and now with the new facility, the world's our oyster really, so it's a matter of engaging with the community groups, schools, and letting them know what we have to offer here.
Matchett says the old facility this one replaces will soon be demolished and the vacant area integrated into the Botanic garden, a historic community space that's just taken a giant leap forward thanks to this state-of-the-art complex. David DeLorean, 39 Dunedin News.
A known gang associate wanted by police remains at large following a 3-hour search in Carlton Hill. Jeremy Philip Clark has ties to the Bandidos gang and is wanted on assault charges. The armed offender squad cordoned off Columba Avenue yesterday afternoon as they searched a house in the street. It left residents unable to get in or out until just before 7 p.m. Police acted on a tip-off but failed to find Clark in the raid. It's the second time they've searched that house trying to find him. Clark's considered dangerous and shouldn't be approached. Another raft of changes are underway for Dunedin's public transport system. The Otago Regional Council's developing a policy about what passengers can take on buses, and more contracts are up for tender. But the overhaul is copping some flack.
The next steps are being taken in the transformation of the city's public transport system. Fares have recently gone up, and there's been changes to some bus routes. Gerard Collings of the Otago Regional Council says there's been negative feedback and it's being listened to.
We're comfortable with where things are at. We know there's some minor tweaks to be made, and we are actually taking note of the public feedback that we're receiving. Once the new network's in its entirety and has had a chance to bed in, then we'll review where the network is.
Another raft of changes will take effect in coming weeks. Guidelines for what personal belongings can be taken on buses are being created after locals with a bicycle caused difficulties for a driver. Collings says the council's meeting with bus operators next week to decide on the rules.
So we've agreed with the operators that what we'll do is we'll come up with some general guidelines, and they will be general guidelines. We won't be able to cover off all instances, and there will still be a requirement for the driver to have some discretion, obviously.
He expects to see increasing numbers of people using buses in coming years, encouraged by an easier-to-understand service. And with that goal in mind, the council's about to put contracts for Peninsula and Southern routes out to tender.
Those, again, will follow the same principles that we've had for the last Southern routes changes, where we're simplifying, reducing the number of route variations. So again, we're expecting that it's not going to be as everyone would desire. But we've really got to look at streamlining the network.
The biggest changes will happen next year when a central bus hub's created. It'll integrate a news service using modern technology to show where buses are in real time. It's set to go live in Queenstown before it's launched locally. David DeLorean, 39 Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, Dunedin North MP David Clark joins us to discuss his concerns about state houses, and later how 4 student flats are helping local research into sustainability.
Oh, a lifestyler can be anybody. We look at a lifestyler as someone who perhaps has been a farmer and is retiring into a smaller block. It could be someone who's working here in Dunedin and has a few acres at home. It could be mum and the kids with the pony on an acre. You know, it's anyone that's got a little bit of land rather than just a quarter-acre section.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
Hedges are something we almost take for granted. A good hedge needs regular maintenance to look its best and to add value and character to your property. For all your hedge care needs, call the team at SGC Services on 0800 783 453.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's Oat Singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's Oat Singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's Oat Singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
For 30 years, Southern Clams have harvested New Zealand littleneck clams in the coastal waters of Otago. Hand harvesting to order at the right place and time ensures perfection of every clam you eat. New Zealand littleneck clams harvested for you by Southern Clams.
Discover New Zealand's most innovative museum, Toitu Otago Settlers Museum. 14 stunning galleries, 3 distinct architectural styles, and 1 million intriguing stories are yours to discover at Toitu Otago Settlers Museum. Open daily next to Dunedin Railway Station and with free admission. Toitu Otago Settlers Museum.
Big Orange for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
A lifestyler to me is a person maybe wanting to escape the hustle and bustle of a big city. Wanting some animals, maybe able to grow their own veggies, have chickens, get their own hens. A lifestyle block can be your supermarket. Just a good way of living, and a lot of people enjoy that rather than being in a city. A very sustainable way to live.
Welcome back. Otago's unemployment rate is on the rise again, having dropped from a peak in early 2013. There are now about 5,000 people within Otago's labour force that don't have jobs. The region's labour force participation rate is sitting at just under 70%. That's only slightly higher than the regional employment rate. Nationally, unemployment's up at around 5.9%, and that's partly a result of steady population growth. The manufacturing and construction sectors have the strongest rate of employment. All right, now let's check today's financial summary for you. And a look at the markets. The NZX 50 finishing today's trading down 10 points. To the exchange rates, and the Kiwi dollar up against all of the major currencies. that we follow here. While state housing is again in the spotlight with concern about some fire escape ladders being removed from homes. Dunedin North MP David Clark has spoken to residents about it, and he's here to tell us more this evening. Good evening to you, Dave.
Good evening, Callum.
So where have these emergency escape ladders been removed from?
Well, they're being removed from state houses, and I'm aware of them being removed in Halfway Bush and Pine Hill, but I've got no doubt that it'll be happening across the city. It's the same organisation that's looking after them.
So what are your major concerns here?
Well, the families I've spoken with are really concerned about children upstairs sleeping and them having a reasonable escape route in an emergency. One family I've spoken to have experienced a fire in another state house, and they're particularly nervous. I'm told that the mother sleeps at night with the light on. She's frightened. And another one has witnessed a fire where the fire's gone up the stairwell, you know, and not having another escape route scares the pants off people, and I can completely relate to that.
What's the law here with regard to these ladders?
Well, legally they don't have to be in place, and that's what Housing New Zealand is hiding behind. They've said that they are replacing them with smoke alarms now. Fact is that you can't climb down a smoke alarm to safety, and it shouldn't be an either or in my view. That the ladders have been there since time immemorial. The houses can cope with the ladders. They took it off in the case that I'm dealt with most closely, and painted the house again, which was desperately needed, and they just haven't put it back. There's nothing wrong with the ladder. They're just refusing to put it back on.
So does there need to be a law change here?
Well, I don't think there does need to be a law change. The New Zealand Fire Service recommends that the ladders be kept there as an alternative means of exit. Perhaps a change of government's needed. I would have thought common sense could have prevailed, to be perfectly honest. It's one of those situations where it's simply a matter of putting something back that was already there that was working.
This is a case-by-case basis almost.
Yeah, it seems strange to me, and the family that I've dealt with, again, the mother has had back surgery, and she can't jump out. She can't contemplate throwing her children out a window either. It makes no sense. We think yesterday there was this major fire in Waimate where a husband and wife and son lost their lives. The 3 daughters that escaped out that house in Waimate climbed out onto a platform off the top story of the building. It's exactly the kind of scenario that we might be faced with, and I think it's unconscionable that the organisation won't return the ladders to our state houses.
This is also an issue for privately owned homes then as well, isn't it? Multi-storied private homes.
You'd think it would be for multi-storied private homes. On the street, in the family I've dealt most with in Pine Hill, they have ladders on the houses all down the street. You know, the ones that have been sold off in the 90s, they've still got their ladders. They seem to be the only one in the street that's had theirs removed. And as I say, the New Zealand Fire Service recommends that they should be kept there as an alternative route of escape. I don't see why they couldn't be.
So what needs to be done from here?
Well, I think Housing New Zealand needs to explain why they're not going to do it. I suspect it's part of their wider dismantling of the state housing provision, actually physically dismantling them now, it seems, at local level. I think they need to be held to account and asked why they're not going to return them, because it makes no sense.
All right, MP David Clark, thanks for your time this evening.
Thanks, Callum.
All right, after the break on 39 Dunedin News, how a visiting African drummer is helping inspire some local percussionists, and we've got more snow on the way for our hill suburbs. Details coming up in our look at the region's weather.
Sir Bob Charles, New Zealand's greatest golfer and still going strong.
I'm sure that Sportsville was a contributing factor to my success, and I'll continue to use it.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville, a product so good he puts his name to it.
Well, I believe Sportsville helps maintain your quality of life.
Now being used by active men and women globally to support strength and mobility.
It works for me.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville in the new All Black Pack. Call now for the Sportsville special, 0800 502 402.
Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams.
Moving around the corner, overseas, Best Removals Otago Limited, specialists in household removals and business relocations, as well as packing materials, secure storage. Best Removals can do it all. 0800 266 834.
Big Orange for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
Here's something else to look forward to sinking your teeth into every weekend with the Otago Daily Times, the Weekend Mix, your guide to what's hot in fashion, entertainment, food and more. New weekend magazine in your ODT. Pick up your copy this Saturday.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Oh, lifestyler can be anybody. We look at a lifestyler as someone who perhaps has been a farmer and is retiring into a smaller block. It could be someone who's working here in Dunedin and has a few acres at home. Could be mum and the kids with the pony on an acre. You know, it's anyone that's got a little bit of land rather than just the quarter-acre section.
Tune into Girls Talk on Dunedin Television, where we show you what's hot in Dunedin.
A proposed policy on the sale of legal highs is being considered by the City Council. It sets out where party pills, synthetic cannabis and other legal highs can be sold in the city. The Council's Planning and Regulatory Committee will consider the draft policy on Monday. It's in line with legislation aimed at reducing harm from such products. Local businesses will be able to apply for special legal high licences from November. The Council can't ban the sale of legal highs, but it can restrict where they're sold from. Local research into sustainability is being expanded with the opening of a new university centre. 4 Castle Street flats have been converted into a new premises for the university's Centre for Sustainability. It's the culmination of almost 2 years of hard work, and it's set to enable more research than ever before.
The University of Otago's Centre for Sustainability has a new home on campus. Staff and students are celebrating with a type of flat warming in their new Castle Street premises. And Centre Director Dr Janet Stevenson says the new space has been a long time coming.
The centre's been growing for a number of years through the research grants that we've been achieving, and our previous premises was 3 buildings just the other side of the childcare centre, and over time we became larger and just needed more space.
Staff are welcoming the new space after 21 months in less than ideal temporary lodgings. Dr Stevenson says the old premises was bursting at the seams, and the substantial increase in capacity will allow staff to continue developing the centre's output.
It certainly enables us to house what we have. We do have space to grow a little more. Our previous premises was 3 old houses. We now have 4 old houses that have been beautifully made over, and we are housing at the moment about 32 people. We could probably fit maybe about 40, I think.
Stevenson says staff and student numbers are determined by the centre's workload and how much funding is secured for various studies.
With a research centre, you're never quite sure what the next year is going to bring. You're really existing on the basis of the research grants that you bring in. And so if we got some big research grants, we might actually be needing to add more people to the centre, which would be very exciting.
And those involved now are wasting no time making the most of their new space, keeping busy with several large grants for research into energy behaviour, future transport, farm sustainability and more. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
African music is inspiring some of the city's budding artists. A tribal drummer from the Congo is sharing his love of rhythm and his passion for Dunedin, and he's spreading cheer among the masses.
He doesn't look like a typical southerner, but Congo-born Sam Manzanza has strong ties to Dunedin. He was involved in the original Dunedin Sound movement, and he's returned to the city to play music with his son, who was born here.
When I arrived from Africa, I arrived in New Zealand, I stayed in Dunedin. So I was very happy to come back to play this music that I'm playing now around the world.
His Afrobeat style is adapted from the Congo's many different tribal rhythms, and it's all about positivity.
I try to play more happy music. The music will make people dance, to feel happy, to enjoy.
While in Dunedin, he's also been taking workshops with local children in several schools, teaching them coordination and rhythm.
The kids, they learn something from it, they beat on the drum. I show them easy step of dancing and easy beat on the drum. They learn it quickly, they enjoy it. It was very good.
Manzanza says the Afrobeat is perfect for learning, applicable to aspiring musicians, young and old, with an interest in any genre.
To have the rhythm, you know, when you got the rhythm, it's easy to learn in your instrument. It's enjoyable.
He's heading back to Wellington for a gig, then to Australia for an international music festival. But he plans to return to Dunedin for the upcoming Vogel Street Party in October. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. A university student's passionate plea is making the institution rethink its plan to remove about 50 trees from campus. Botanic garden staff are celebrating their new $6 million propagation facility, which will allow them to expand operations. And a raft of changes are underway for the city's public transport system as the Regional Council considers user feedback. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. We welcome in Bruce Query. Evening, Bruce.
Good evening, Callum. In the district court today, they heard how a family was torn apart and its financial future ruined after a man's double life came to light, revealing fraud and deception totalling hundreds of thousands of dollars. The ODT took a look around inside the historic Dunedin prison today also. Tourists may end up going to jail to eat, explore and maybe even sleep there after plans for construction in the prison. So those plans have been lodged with the council. Dunedin's hotel managers say times are good at the moment. Last year was the best for the city's hotels in 5 years. They say the stadium is making a big difference and to keep the events coming.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you. That's tomorrow's ODT. Thanks, Bruce. All right, let's have a quick look at local weather.
This local weather report proudly brought to you in association with Silberhorn Sportsville.
Starting with today's city view, masses of white crosses at the cenotaph. There's your 3 p.m. temperatures today, 10 in the central city at 3 o'clock. Situation, a cold front's moving over the South Island later tomorrow, bringing that cold polar blast for the weekend. Snow forecast for Gore tomorrow and cool temperatures for this group. High of 8 for Queenstown and some snow is forecast there as well. For tomorrow, 8 degrees the high. Saturday, snow on the hills and a high of 6 for Dunedin. And there's your tide times for tomorrow. That's our news for this Thursday, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.